This is likely to be the shortest video that I've done, seriously. It's literally just a statement, really, just an update on what can be expected of me, really, for the rest of the year, and really what I'm doing. So, it's unlikely I'm going to create any content of substance for the rest of the year. So, if there's any sort of like topics, societal topics, anything about like life in general, things of really significance, where maybe it would help people and talk on issues, that's not likely to happen at all. For the sole reason, really, is I'm working on my books. And I just started working again today on it. And I really had to push myself, to be honest, because I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And it's the idea that you're having to start in the middle of something. It's actually really, really frustrating. I knew it was going to give me a headache because you've got to see where you're up to. It's a whole process. And it's like, when you start, it's opening a can of worms. Are you ready for it? And I thought, to be honest, yeah, it's time. It's time. I've delayed. And like, I like to have a book done a year. Look, if it didn't come out, it didn't come out this year, but there's time to get it finished. And to be honest, I want to have it finished. I want it done. Because otherwise these books, they just sear into my soul. It's like I can say I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, but it's always there. It's always nagging at me to get it finished. So the only way to calm expectations in myself is to finish it, isn't it? So yeah, literally, that's what I'm doing. So I wrote a chapter today. So what the issue's really been is that the books really are in edit phase, like heavy edit though. So I've done it quite different to how I've previously done my books. I prefer to just sit there and write. Like if I've got a topic, I would write about it, and I absolutely love that. But I did recognize quite deep into me doing my videos and things. I've done so many videos, and it's a waste to lose them. So I'm going over videos, for instance, and just editing really from there, and it's a whole process, but it's boring as shit. Like I don't even like doing that, but I'm thinking to myself, like, it's a lot of work though that you've put into it, and you should not lose that, if you like, because of course it's work I've done, but it's really, really incredibly boring, like to work at that level. So I've always said, always explained, I don't like editing. I like creating. I don't like editing. It's like homework. That's all it is. It feels like homework. So it's like tortured, really. But I can get it done, and once I'm flowing, fine. But it's not enjoyable for me. It's not a passion. So I come alive when I've literally got a blank slate, and I can just like think, what if I want to? What's on my mind? Let's flow with that, and that's really what I enjoy. So I sat down, got the laptop out, looked at the chapters, and I just thought, wow, this is like what I've already got there is, to put it into context, it's like 200,000 words plus just for that manuscript. And it's about similar for each of the other two books. So I've got to work them down. And that's not to say that's gold. It's probably a lot of crap in the middle of all that I've got to filter out and sort of might be repetitive. Who knows? I've got to whittle it. But based on those numbers, it tells me there's potentially 2 books per manuscript. And I've got to then decide what books are important to this story. What books are important to this story? And when I say story, I'm talking about the concept of the book, the narrative. And it may very well be that I end up having to take chapters away to make it manageable, because I don't want it sort of things going off topic. I don't want to sort of deviate. And it's a whole sculpture process with this. This isn't just writing. Even the editing parts are absolute headache. So I sat down and I thought, I can't even be asked for that. I just can't even be bothered to go near it. I don't want to. But also on top of that, but before I go there, I've decided to go a different way with it. So in my last book, Find Your Peace, Save Your Soul. I'm so lost with the titles now. I've got so many. Yeah, Find Your Peace to Save Your Soul. That was the only book that I did off of the back of videos I'd done. And I'm sure there was a couple of some chapters in there that were fresh, but I'm not sure. All the other books were written like from raw, like blank page. And I really want to get back to doing that. That's when I come alive. So once I've got all this done, I can do that. So anyway, I sat down and I've decided that I'm not going to edit the chapters as they are. It's too much of a headache for me, and it's boring as shit. So what I'm actually going to do now is read the chapters the mess that they would look, because it's transcript. It's like crap. It really is annoying trying to work through that, and it maybe isn't so natural either, like the way I deliver. So I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to write fresh so literally make spaces and then just write fresh, and it's going to be all fresh. Every chapter will be like completely fresh with that concept though. That's the only way I can work. Otherwise, it's going to hurt my head, and it's going to make it longer, because I'll get fed up and I'll just keep stopping. because I'll be like, this is boring as shit. I can't. It's like if something's really boring to me, I can't operate like that. You know, if I'm inspired, I'm really, really passionate. So anyway, sat down, went to work on it, and I just looked at it and I went, I'm not even going near that lot because I'm not figuring out what ones I want to keep yet at the minute. I've not had that process because I've been working on my different books. You see, this book's going to be the book that's going to come next is going to be I can always call it personal growth. Everything's in like chapters, but it's not really personal growth. It's more like inspiring yourself to grow, you know, to like be your best version and things and go after your dreams, your passions. And it's like remove the negative voices in your life, all those sort of things, you know. But I always call that personal growth. Then I've got a spiritual book. And then I've got one on society and politics, things that are actually happening in the world. And, you know, so I was like, which one am I? And that was part of the nag, really, that was stopping me from getting one of these done. It's like an octopus. It's too much. It's too much. You know, I have to follow my own advice that I would often give to other people. It's like focus on one and get it done. Otherwise, you never get anything finished. And that's literally what's been happening to me all year, really. It's just like my head, I start working on a chapter here, then I've got literally I open the laptop up and I have all 3 manuscripts open at the same time. And I end up working on that one. And I get really excited about that chapter. Then I just quickly go over to the other one because I've got an idea and I start typing. And then I go, better start working on this book. You end up all over the place. So I've decided it's going to be another personal growth. I've already done 3 in that vein. So that's why I thought maybe I'll do something a bit different next time. But I was like, no, this one's next. We're going to get that one done. That's 4 in that vein. Then I'll decide if it's what one comes next after that. Anyway, so like I say, it's a whole process right now. I think people don't realise the effort that goes into these. They probably just think it's a breeze. Like, I can get it done quick, but that's only because I'm passionate and I'm focused. So as I say, I got the laptop open. I just thought, you know what, I'm not even. I just want to enjoy myself. So I'm just going to write a chapter. I had something on my mind. I thought I'm just going to write about that. I normally share it. So when I do it, I overshare. So I would usually get the laptop out and I'd read passages or perhaps even nearly the whole chapter to the people, on camera. I'm not going to do that anymore. Hence why the videos are going to stop. Because if I get an idea now and I'm thinking I'm going to do a video on that, I'm not. I'll just write a chapter because I want to be creative. I want to enjoy that. I want to get back to writing. So yeah, I mean, I'm good on camera and I can do the talking, but at the same time, I also enjoy writing. And when I talk on camera, it takes away my opportunity to express myself in a different way. And I'm someone that likes to mix it up. I don't want to spend all year just talking on camera. I don't want to even spend all year writing a book, but I do like to mix it. So yeah, anyway, so that's why because what it is, I anticipate the book, I was going to say the end of October, but I think that's really, really ridiculously pushing it. I'm not saying that's impossible because I could very well do it, but I'm going to say the end of November because realistically, I'm not going to want to work on it leading into Christmas. I think the end of November is fair. Even if it goes over by a week or two, fine. But I expect November because I'm literally working now on a chapter a day minimum. I'm just doing it. I'm getting each day, do a chapter. And then if there's time later in the evening or nighttime and I'm like, you know what, I fancy having another go at another chapter, I'll work on it, whether it's editing the current chapter or writing something fresh. But I have to be mindful not to keep writing fresh because there's enough work. Like I just said, there's like 200,000 words to filter through that lot, you know? I've got a lot of work to do. So when this comes out, a lot of work went into it, either way, either side of everything, you know? I'm not a one-man band. I have to do all of it. I have to come up with the title. I have to come up with the book art. I have to do the blurb, you know, when you're doing the thing. I have to do the sort of like storefront stuff. To obviously write it myself. Then I've got to edit the damn thing. You know, there's a whole process here. But it's you can be incredibly proud when you have something. So I'm proud of everything I've done. All 6 books. And I don't rest on my laurels. I don't take anything for granted. It's just been a real hard period of my life doing this, you know, like in terms of like the push constantly. And I haven't really seen the success from it yet. And it's like, I feel like I should. I'm not asking for a lot. Like, I just think I don't think I should be struggling anymore. And that's all it is. I'm not saying like, I should be all this, should be all that, better than anyone. It's nothing like that. I'm proud of what I've done. And I think from that, I should be able to live a comfortable life. Just comfortable. I'm not saying anything mental. But at the moment, I have to juggle 2 worlds. You're sort of stuck in the limbo of the past and living in the potential as well. This is what I was actually talking about, weirdly enough, in the book. The chapter I just wrote was about that. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I'm not going to give spoilers, but it was literally about that potential and having to like merge the two. It's like really hard part of life. And I just, because it's happening to me now and I'm like really sort of like, it's a deep frustration and it's having to use all the willpower in me to push on, which then makes you then think about perspective and like why you do it and all these things. And that's what I thought I'd cover in the chapter, really. So I read the chapter back and I thought, that's great. Like, I love that. I don't say that for ego, but it's like, I just love it. I like what I do. So I read it back and I thought, that's great. So yeah, because it's like, I'm not going to go too deep there, but there is a case of we get frustrated in life when things not going how we perceive them to go. Like if we think something should be better, we do down tools, we do get frustrated, we do have pity parties, but sometimes it's deserved. Like sometimes we deserve to have a pity party. Like it's not fair. Like genuinely, I have every right to sort of like stand and protest here. It doesn't change anything though. And then when it comes down to it, if you take away any recognition from others, any perceived external success, it's like, what do you want your life to be? Like, what is actually that matters? Is it the tangible things? Is it material things you have? Because a lot of that's short-lived. And I covered that, how, you can get a new phone, you can get a phone and go, oh yeah, I'm so happy. But then everyone goes mental when the next one comes out. So it's a bit short-lived. It's like, is it always going to be that makes you happy throughout your life every time you get something new? Or is it going to be something you create yourself, an investment in yourself, And then I think when you consider that, it makes you realize that maybe the things you're waiting for to not just give you confidence, but to inspire you to push on, it's just that it's unnecessary. So I've already said I've done 6 books. I'm really proud of myself. I've accomplished something that, to be honest, the little me, the young me, wouldn't have thought was even possible, and I've already done it. Okay, on the other side of that, I haven't got what I consider to be fair as reward. But in terms of like success in self, yeah, I'm incredibly successful in that sense, And I have a strong aptitude for what I do, and I'm getting better and better at it. I fine tuning the craft, if you like. So yeah, like I say, just because someone does something fast doesn't necessarily mean it came easy. There's still a push, there's still a desire, there's still something that I have to do to push myself over the line. There's a level of sacrifice that comes with it. And again, it's like what matters to you. And I think once you start setting that trend in your life, you are investing in yourself, so you're fulfilled in a way. Doesn't mean you're not fed up in other areas, because that's another thing entirely. But do you forgo your investment in yourself because something hasn't happened yet, or do you continue to believe and have faith that the more I invest in myself, the more opportunities open? All sorts of things. And that's what I want to do. So again, I've got to go through this book. I'm going to have to jiggle some chapters around, because again, I want it to be fluid. I want it to be progression. So if you're going to get, if for instance, let's say that chapter's the end, then we've got to figure out how we get there in terms of the personal development and growth and things like that. Then I have to potentially read my other books just to make sure there's no deep crossover. I don't want to repeat myself too much. I mean, I've seen people do books like that all the time, the same book repeated, just a slight deviation, and kind of pointless. But if it happens and it's necessary, then fine. So if there's a similar topic, but I've said it in a different way, then I think that's fair. If it helps with the progression of the book in terms of pick, because again, I want someone to be able to pick a book up, literally any of my books. You pick my Father's Daughter series up, you're going to go on a journey with me through my biggest trauma, biggest fight of my life for my daughter. You're going to come on that journey with me. You're going to feel it, you're going to see it, and you're going to feel like you was there. With my spiritual book, Losing Mind to Find Your Soul, you're going to go on a spiritual journey with me. You're going to feel like you're with me to get experiencing it. That's what I want all my books. That's what all my books are about, It's not feeding an ego. It's literally showing people the experience. So, like when I say personal growth, this isn't me sort of like just trying to drill something into someone or try to just act like you've got all the answers. I'm just drawing upon experience and how I perceive life, and how I overcome this situation, and how I'm rapid with that, and how I set boundaries, why I'm strong in this, because it's the way I see the world, And I just think for some people, that's going to be incredibly healing. So, that's why I do what I do. And of course, I've got a real deep issue at the moment with the world. And I think that's where the society and politics come in. That was happening before Trump come to office, but that's really propelled shit forward. And I'm just trying not to go there, because he can make you quite reactive, can't he? Because the way he is, he's just, yeah, I'm not going to go there. So I think it's wise to leave that for another day, not this year, because I'll have to, I'm just trying to ignore him for now. If I'm being totally honest. So anyway, where does that take me? I've got this book. Let's get it done. Let's just get this one done. And then I've got the spiritual book. Then I've got the, like I said, society politics. Then there was other books I was working on. One's about history and things, That's just a completely different path. But it's, again, it excites me because I can do some research, I can delve into it. But it's going to be a period of my life where I need to have that time to invest in it, or something needs to be happening. I don't want to do that working around multiple things. Like, I want to do something like that when I am like at the top of my game. You're not having to work so hard all the time, and you can actually have time to enjoy yourself. You can still work, of course, but you can't be doing physical work and then going and researching, doing that, and enjoy it. It'd be too tiring, you know. So life, for me personally, for me to truly enjoy that, I want to be able to invest truly in my creative pursuits, you know, and go, you know what, I can. This is my life. This is literally what I can do, and it's literally I'll accomplish this. But the stuff I've had to do so far has been always through hardship, and that's where it gets hard, you know. It's demoralizing. It truly is. Um, but then that's where I derive the knowledge and it from the experience, you know. So it kind of like a double-edged sword. You want to be out of this circumstance, and this is painful and it's a struggle. But then someone else is going to go through something similar. So then why not document it? Explain how you feel in this situation, how you perceive things to be moving forward, even if the external isn't showing that. And you know, what's the alternative? Go backwards and just sit comfortable where you think you're doing well just because you have tangible material things that are superficial. But meanwhile, you've sort of sold yourself to the point where you're just miserable because you haven't even invested in you. So do you invest in the things you have, or do you invest in yourself? Because personal development is going to come with risks. It's going to come with sacrifice. It's going to come with loss. Again, not going to go deep there. Let's not go on tangents. It's supposed to be short. It's going to be short. So to sum up, I'm going missing, going AWOL to work on my book. I'm going to do a chapter a day, which will probably take me maybe. Sometimes I think I've only sat there for an hour, but I could have been sat there for 3 hours. So look, it's not about boasting anything. It can take up to 3 hours to do a chapter, I guess. Sometimes I think it's less, but who cares? Let's say it's that. If let's say you do that in the morning. Let's say in the evening, I think, you know what, I can have another go at this. Why not get another one done? Progression. If we can get 2 done a day, then we're getting really doubling down, aren't we? But what I don't want to do is exhaust it to the point where I actually resent doing it and I'm bored. So if I do it in bits but consistently, then it will be manageable. Because it can happen, you know, you burn out, you get fed up. But then I think discipline's important, so be consistent with it. So before you start doing anything else, make sure you get that done. Then it sets you up for the rest of the day, you know. So anyway, the plan really is do 1 a day minimum, hopefully get 2 in. I used to get 3 or something, but I'm not going mental. And that should then get me done for like the end. Well, depends, because obviously there are layers to this. This isn't just you just do it and it's done. You do it and then you read the whole thing back again. And there's a process in it. So I'm hoping the end of October, but we're going to say the end of November, just a little bit of wiggle room. It's like a 30-day extension, just in case. And that's why I say it's unlikely I'll do the videos now. I'm still gaming, but I'm not, like I say, if I'm going to create content on video in terms of stuff, I might as well write in a book. Why not leave it for that? Let's leave some things for mystery. And I truly enjoy doing it. I do enjoy doing this too, as you can tell, because I can't stop talking. But it's still likely I'll do video content, gaming content, because I'm still going to be playing games in my spare time. I'm still watching TV shows and movies. I'm a very simple person, you know. It's like, for all the wealth in the world, I would still enjoy just sitting there gaming, watching my movies, watching TV shows. Yeah, I'd be a little bit more adventurous and I'd like to travel and experience other things. But I still wouldn't forego the simplicities in life, you know, because that's where I'm relaxed. I'm chill. So that's what I'll be doing. And if there's a game I think I could share, then I might share it. So it might just be the one-off episode, or it might be a series. So I'm thinking of doing Alan Wake 2, because that's a psychological horror-esque thing. Like the first game I loved. I know we're going on a tangent now. I'm just going to show what I'm doing, though. Book, and then I still share some gaming content. And with that, it's a writer, which is what I've always been attracted to, whether it's a writer as the protagonist in a movie or a video game. And there's a psychological horror aspect to this. So sort of effectively, a lot of the time, it's things that have happened in the book are manifested in his life, or it's more like he's having visions or something, you know? I'm not sure if the second one's like that, or if the second one's is a consequence of the fact he's a writer and things are happening in reality. But either way, it's a great, you know, the first game I loved, and this one's supposed to be even better. So I'm thinking of sharing it the way through, because, to be honest, I quite like the idea that people get to experience something they wouldn't normally experience. So it might seem like I'm flooding my page with irrelevant content, but I want my channel to be me. I don't want my channel just to be overly curated, because I did battle with that. I was like, should I just not do? It's gonna divide people. You know, someone might not want that, but then people can just switch off from it. You don't have to watch. So I just thought, no, my channel is about me and my interests and things. I mean, and it'll cover so many different topics, and not everybody's going to want everything, and it's fine. But we'll see. I mean, it will slow me down doing it like that, so I'm not sure. I mean, I want to enjoy the game. But anyway, there's a good chance I'll still do the gaming content. But like I said, the other content's likely to slow. Doesn't mean it'll be gone forever. It's just I want to get this book done. And then once the book's done, I'll know what I want to do next. You know, is it going to be, you know what, I stay gone because I've got the other 2 books to do? Or is it a case of, you know what, I feel a bit burnt out from that book. We've already done that year. The next book doesn't have to come out until the following autumn, or it can come out in spring, or it doesn't even matter. I don't mind what month they come out. I'd like to have at least one done a year. Next year, I wouldn't be surprised if both of them come out. I think one will likely come out spring, late spring. The other one might come out later in the year. And who knows? But again, where does the videos fit in around that? I don't know at the moment. But it'd be nice to start seeing some growth. That's what I want to start seeing. More so the fact that I want to know I'm helping people. You know, that's a nice feeling when you know it's actually having a positive impact, no matter what the content is, even if it's the gaming stuff, you know? But at the moment, it feels like it exists. People don't know it's there, or those that do know it's there, maybe I think it's better than it is. But I mean, I know the right audience would really help people. Video I did the other day about sort of peer pressure, that was for me like one of the best videos I've done. When I watched it back, I thought that is going to actually help so many people, especially children in high school. You know, when you feel alienated and you feel lonely, and maybe if you are being picked on and victimized, you know, I just think it'll help give perspective and show them that this is just a moment in your life. It's literally not forever. And those that are intent on causing misery, you know, they won't live as fulfilling a life as you think they will. So, you know, you can elevate beyond this, way beyond the life they're likely to have. You know, but so it's like, don't lose sight of how special you are. You know what I mean? Like, but people have got to see it, and they haven't seen it, and it gets incredibly frustrating because I put so much time and effort into everything I do. You know. But anyway, yeah. So if you see I've gone AWOL and absent, just know in the behind the scenes I'm working, I'm getting it done. The book will be out this year because I'm determined to have it out this year. And when I focus on something, when I've got my mind on something, I always get it done. That's the thing. But like I said, there were so many obstacles to this. The fact that I was having to be like an octopus trying to sort out multiples and headache. So now it's about just, even if I spend one day just sorting it out and get it in some order, get it happy how I want it. For me, that's where I have to realize in my own mind, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I have high expectations of myself. So let's say I did that for a day, I would usually walk away from the day and think, what a waste that you didn't even get anything done. Oh my God. But the practicality is really important. If you've organized and you've done any semblance of work on it, I think is progress. So any time spent, no matter how small, it's still, you're focused on it, and that's good. So yeah. So especially there, if someone's ever wants to write their own book, it's one thing to recognize there is it's okay to have breaks though. I would say never try to have longer than 2 weeks away from it, because otherwise you may never come back, or you might have too long away in the end. If you leave it 2 weeks, you give yourself a rest, you can really, the good thing about a break though, it's really important because it allows you time to ponder an idea. You might dissect something a bit more. Because you might get writer's block. You might feel the pressure, the strain. Your creativity's drained. You're drained. You're uninspired. But taking a little break, sometimes you re-inspire yourself. It ignites an idea, and you might think about something a bit deeper and go, "Oh yeah, yeah." And you might even delete something, an entire chapter, for instance. You might go, "Nah, it's not good enough. I know what I want to do now." So it's really important that we do take time to reflect on everything we do. So pauses are not shameful. They're not a bad thing. It's just it has to be managed, you know. And I think have a deadline in mind pushes you to achieve your goals. 'Cause that's what I've always done. So I've always set an almost impossible target, and I've either hit it or come very close. But what that did, it pushed me to get it done. So even if you don't even reach your target, and you have to, let's say you do something and you have to delay it by a couple of weeks, even a month. Well, that doesn't matter. Look how far you got. You literally, you know, by having that milestone, it made you do it quicker. And you literally, no excuses. So it's not. It doesn't even matter if it takes a long time, But I've heard people writing their own personal stories about their own life, and I've heard people tell me that I've been working on it for like 20 years, and I'm thinking that's absolutely madness. That's crazy. Like life gets in the way for everybody, but it shouldn't take 20 years to tell your story. I don't understand that at all. Like you can do it in 3 months. I get most of mine done in like 3 months when I'm focused. But that's again, if we just put it into perspective, I'm not here to like overly criticize and make someone feel small. I'm just trying to inspire them to say, look, you can get your story done. Now I know some people have a harder time with words. Fine, it takes double the time. But you think of it this way, and this is where discipline's matters. You do 1,000 words a day. That's 30,000 words a month. Typically 30, 31 days to a month. A typical book is between 60,000 and 80,000. So if you just go bare minimum, let's say 60,000. Now, some people do really small books. That's up to them. I'm talking about like a book, an actual book is 60 to 80,000. So let's say you're getting 60,000 words, even if you get just under, doesn't matter, whatever. Just that's the range. You do 1,000 words a day for 1 month is 30,000 words. So you do 2 months discipline, just like that, 1,000 words a day. You can do 500 words in the morning, 500 words in the evening. You can do it all at once. Maybe do 800 words. You don't quite hit 1,000. It doesn't matter. But overall, average 1,000 words a day. It's 30,000 a month. Over the space of 2 months, you've done 60,000 words. You've literally written a manuscript. You've wrote a book. You now have another month to fine tune it, correct it, add to it if you want, edit, sculpt it. So the book can get done in 3 months. It's not impossible. It's discipline. So I don't understand how it takes someone so long to tell their story. Now, I understand some people don't know where to start. My answer to that, again, it's me helping people before I get back to my work. If you don't know where to start, I always say start with the present day. Just start with today. Like what's going on in your life and what got you there? All of a sudden, it starts to open up everything about your life because like, what am I going through? Why do I feel like this? What's the connection? What pressure are people putting me under? Then you start having little flashbacks to things that happened in the past, childhood, maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, something you've experienced. All of a sudden, you can have more, it either goes in the same chapter or it's a completely different topic. Start another chapter. And then what you can do later on is you can move the chapters don't have to be in the order you're thinking. You might have a flashback that takes you back to childhood. Next thing you know, you're thinking of something that happened yesterday during a conversation. Then you might think of something else where maybe you've just had a conversation or you just spent time with a family member and you realize what it was like growing up with them, or maybe the pressure they put you under, or maybe the fact they're two-faced. Maybe they're not supportive of you, but they pretend they are. That's part of your life story. Get that jotted down. You start jotting it down, even if it's a few paragraphs here and there, then you build upon it. So effectively, later on, you can just move the chapters around. Because it's not like you come up with the chapters in a coherent way. It was just like, that was the idea, that was the idea, that was the idea. Bosh, bosh, bosh. Then you move them around. And you start sculpting the story. Because you're the narrator. You're the storyteller. So, like I say, 1,000 words a day. If you can think about it this way, like think about like what you've been through this week. It doesn't have to be today. Just think about what you've been through this week. And if maybe just try writing that, and you'll come up with 1,000 words. And I guarantee you, if you get there, you're going to start thinking of other things too. Because everybody's faced something. I'm not saying everyone's had trauma, but I think the majority of people have been through some form of trauma, negative experience. You don't have to write about that all the time, like all everything's negative. You can give sort of like people hope, maybe talk about something exciting. Now, this is all personal journey. This isn't novel. I expect a novel to take a lot longer, because the word count should be higher, but also you've got to build backstory, you've got a world plan. There's a whole lot of research and planning that have to go into a novel. Personally, if I'm writing a novel, I'm giving myself 2 to 5 years to write a novel. Like, I know that's mental, but I wouldn't want to rush that at all. You'd have to sort of like really plan deep character development, try and put the connections there, world build, maybe even go real world locations just to get a feel of vibe and then shot it. It's a whole process, I think, that goes to a novel that I think it's a different creative talent. But if you're telling your story, it shouldn't take you 20 years to tell your story. That's my point. Effectively, think about it this way. Another way to do it is, let's say you're not very good at sitting down with a blank piece of paper. Why not get a microphone out like I do and just talk on camera? You don't have to share it with the world. You don't have to share it. You can just do it to yourself, press record. And then what you've done, you've created a chapter by speaking. If you speak for about 20 minutes, I would argue 20 minutes is a chapter. Even 15 minutes could be a chapter. But I'd say between 15 minutes and 20 minutes, That's enough words for a chapter. Perhaps even less if you want to. So if you can manage to talk about like your life events without repeating it all the time, because that's important. If you keep going around in circles, then you're going to have a lot of work to do to filter it out. But if it's fresh, even if you spoke for an hour, guarantee you've got about 3 chapters there, maybe even 4. So that's the thing. If you can tell your story in a different way and deliver it a different way, there's no reason you can't then adapt that into a book. So this is my parting ways really to help people, because I do want people to be able to do their own thing. For me, life isn't a competition. It's like I'm never here to elevate myself above other people. I always want to bring people with me, but they have to do it for themselves. So it's not for me just to tell my story. Other people deserve to tell theirs too. But you have to want to do it, and then you have to push yourself to do it. And it's easy to say, oh, it comes easy for you. It only comes easy for me now because I've freaking worked at the craft. The first book, Father's Daughter, that came easy to me because the events were so fresh. Literally, it was like 18 months of living hell. I had court documents. I organised the court documents for personal reasons anyway. I had everything because it was all dated. So I just got everything and made files for like, let's say it's May 2017. And then it's and I'd get June 2017. I literally had pockets of stuff as well. I would remember the events anyway. So I would be writing that down, and I'd go through the court documents, like what happened there, what was that about, and I literally had the whole thing in front of me, plus obviously the memories attaching to it, and I remember that circumstance. I remember exactly how that conversation went, because it's fresh and it's personal. So yeah, because it was a recent event, it was far easier for me to tell that story, and I knew that was the best time to write it. Don't dwell, don't wait around, because you're going to miss gaps. There's going to be gaps in the narrative. So yeah, the longer your life goes on, you're going to have gaps. But I think just let the gaps go. Don't. I mean, obviously your story is your story. I mean, some people over blemish. I prefer to be true. But I would argue if you're telling your story, tell it as it is. And I think it's have enough faith in people. See, I've gone longer than I planned now. I think it's have enough faith in people that they'll see the truth. I think when you're being fake, I think it will show on it. I think just be yourself, even if you've made mistakes. So if you've had substance abuse, that's fine. People will see the vulnerability in that, and they'll understand. Not everyone's perfect. If maybe you wasn't the best of person, you're a bit of a stress head at times, and maybe it looks better for you not to say that. It's like, no, be honest. Be honest. Everyone's flawed. Everyone has flaws. Again, that's something else I want people to be, is authentic. Because the more you hide yourself and you pretend to be something else, it's really hard to keep that mask up. I don't see the point. People see I've got quite a hard shell sometimes. I'm quite stoic. It's because I genuinely I don't really care what people think of me, because most people are fake. So if someone doesn't even have the confidence to be themselves, why do I care their impression of me? What would I care about that? I think there's too many. Humanity is so flawed. So I genuinely don't care, because most people have a bias. There's an agenda to their reaction and their decision and the way their perspectives are. So I see beyond it, and I'm like, if someone don't like me because I'm investing in myself, well, don't let that trigger you. Then that ain't my problem. Or someone's told you something that's not true, and it's like you want to believe it because it's better to believe that they're, you can keep that connection going, or maybe you're attracted to them, or whatever the freaking thing is. Or maybe the fact that I could be successful, like, is a threat to their illusion of their success. So it's easier to hate me. So fine, let me trigger you. Meanwhile, I'm just on my own, doing my own little thing, just sharing the experience as I go through something, and hopefully inspiring people along the way. So, people want to have an agenda beyond that, whatever. But like I say, I want people to invest in themselves. I think that would just be a nice legacy, won't it? To know you've impacted. Because I think, be honest, I think I've impacted more people than I realise. But not nearly enough, to be honest. I don't think I've impacted as many. Like, if you start thinking, I bet I've impacted a few people here. In reality, I know I haven't. But I know I've impacted a few. I've had people approach me out of nowhere and things like that, and it's been really nice. So, you do have an impact, for sure. And again, I'm not really interested in status, never been interested in that, It's not a case of if someone was really wealthy, really successful, for me, if it's helped them, then that's incredible. Like, it's just as incredible as it is someone that's really at the bottom of life, like really struggling. Everybody's going through a struggle. So if it's inspiring or it's helped whatever level you are in society, then I'm immensely proud. Because if I can help people see, I think, just different ways of life, then that's quite a beautiful gift in itself, isn't it? So, like, for instance, if, let's say, someone is wealthy, let's say someone's doing really well in life, maybe they feel a bit lost, they feel a bit devoid of like reality, like so much expectation on them. People live a superficial life. You know, you're having to play a character. Maybe it gets tiring playing that character. Then maybe they see something I do or something I say, and it helps give perspective shifts. So they start setting more boundaries in their life. They don't let people just take advantage of them. Maybe, like, for instance, let's say you're an actor. Maybe you start losing some of the acting roles, but you've got your integrity. And then maybe you start getting offered other roles. You didn't think you'd get anything else, but someone else is really drawn to that, you know, and they offer you, so your career doesn't completely end, and actually you start being respected for it. So there's a positive shift to that. Well, that'd be great. I'm not saying that's happening or that would happen, but there. And then let's say someone's really at the bottom and they feel there's no way out, and they start reading my books and they realize it's just the beginning of their journey. It's literally it's just the verge of a transformation. If you just take that leap to invest in yourself, for me, that's incredibly beautiful. So both sides are beautiful. It's like I don't really discern between the two. It's like it help. And I just think we're all at certain stages of life, but it's not necessarily where we end. But it's up to us to take action in life to change the narrative and change the outcomes. And it's not always easy. I've been on this journey for 5 years. That's why I talk about it. I don't do it for sympathy. I'm not asking people like, oh, I'm not looking for none of that. I'm just doing it for a reality check. When you invest in yourself, there's no guarantee it's going to be an overnight change. You'll start feeling the growth. The rest of the world hasn't caught up, and the opportunities may not even come. That you can't guarantee it. So you have to ask yourself, is you being a better version of yourself, more healed, more determined, more evolved, is that enough? And for me, when I think about it that way, although I would perceive that not fair, because I can't understand how people who are incredibly dark, negative, narcissistic, abusive, all those things have everything. And people who are kind literally struggle all the time. That doesn't make sense to me. That's a really, really strange world we live in, you know? It's meant to me, my head can't wrap around it. I can understand a lot of things, but that messes me up. That's just ridiculous. That's just mental. Take away the frustration with that, because that will drive me mad, to be honest. If I go down that path trying to understand that, it's ridiculous. Like, it really is, isn't it? Let's not go there. So you take away any of the material. Is the growth enough? And it is, because I couldn't possibly go back to a previous life, like the previous version of myself was maybe more stressed, more of a hothead, more frustrated with myself and life, circumstance. You know, I'm fed up with certain circumstances in my life, but I love who I am. And I appreciate like things I have around me. As much as I get frustrated with things missing, I do take time to reflect and realize that how blessed I am in other areas, you know? So yeah, I wouldn't dream of being anything other than the me I am now. And I look forward to the version of me that will exist in the future as I shed more layers and heal, because I'm always investing in myself. So the tangible becomes less relevant. So there's no guarantee life will improve in the terms of that material, but you will improve. And I think that's the investment. And by extension, you never know what could come of that. Maybe you do get really good blessings other than that, you know, on the material side as well. But you'll be able to handle it. It won't handle you. You know, I don't want to deviate and go crazy here, because this is, like I said, this was supposed to be 5 minutes. It was literally supposed to be me just explaining that I'm going to be gone for a few months now, and it could even go into next year. I just don't know. I just want to get one of these books done, get it out of my head. But to be totally honest, I'll never be free of it. I won't, because I've got them free, and then we've got the history the history mythology ones I was delving into. I'm sure there was something else as well, and it's like, oh damn it, they're all trilogies, they're all multiples, because they're so big, you know. But so there's always concepts, there's always something I'll be working on, but you know, one hopes that something else will come along to inspire me, because we always want to like talk about potential. I haven't reached mine yet. I don't know what my potential is. I've got no idea. But in the current circumstance, the tools I have available to me myself, I know I could accomplish this. So let's just accomplish it. And again, it's because through that investment in self, we start to learn what we're good at and how good we are at it, you know? Because even just doing a book, for instance, and publishing that takes an awful lot of courage. I'm not saying that for people to feel like, you admire. I'm not saying that. to put anything in the public domain and leave it, and it leaves it open for like criticism and judgment. So I'm really, really proud of the work I've done. And to be honest, I'm not trying to be like sort of arrogant or narcissistic in any way to say that other people's opinion of it negatively isn't going to change my opinion of it. Because I know what it's like. I've read it myself. I loved it. Even if it wasn't written by me, I love them. Like read them like fair. And I was like, I love that. Maybe there's issues here and there with certain things, which I learn to improve upon as I go on to the next project. But overall, I'm incredibly proud of my books. And again, that adds another layer of pressure to the next one. Because if I don't feel that I'm going to do it justice, or it's going to be to the similar standard as the previous ones, then what's the point? So there's that constant pressure. But like I said, when I read my chapters back, even the new ones, I'm like, that's bloody good. That was great. Even I said it out loud. Again, I'm not saying it to be like, whatever. I literally just wrote it, read it back. As I was reading, I had to edit it still because I thought it was good first time. And I'm reading it and I go, oh, crap, need to change that. It's only like little words or a fragment of a sentence or this and that. But again, I'm crafting it as I go. And then I read it again, read it back. And when it was all finished, and I was like, that is really good. That's really good. Like, I love that. And I've had that so many times on the books that I'm working on, you know. So for me personally, because I'm so proud of that chapter and so many others even across the books, I know when it's finished, I'm going to truly love it. And it's only when I truly love it will I release it to the world. So again, it doesn't mean that people's opinions aren't valid. It just doesn't influence me. Like, if I'm proud of it, I'm proud of it. If the whole world says it's crap, it's like, that's perceptions. I'm proud. But you have to, I think to release something, you have to be strong enough to be able to handle that, because the world isn't always going to give you a pat on the back and tell you you're great and say that was a great achievement. You know, you see it all the time with people who read books. Now, you could argue the readers, everybody has every right. But I think there should be a level of realistic realism with the expectations. You know, someone's worked their ass off and someone else has just took a few hours to just read something, and then they act like they're the professionals. Yeah, I'm not saying their opinion don't matter. I don't want to start going too deviant here, like deviating. But there is that weird thing where people who haven't done something seem to think they're the masters at it. And it's like, well, if you think that book's terrible, you try and write one. You know, because you'll realize, okay, maybe it's not as good as your favorite author, but it's still pretty good. But anyway, it's not about being defensive. It's about it's realism. It's being realistic. You know, I think the real problem with a lot of people, I'm not saying it all the time. This isn't me trying to be like dismissive, although perhaps it is dismissive. The real problem sometimes is that people have their favorite authors or just their favorite figure. You know, it doesn't even have to be an author. It could be someone in a public domain. You might have your favorite person, and then you're constantly compared to them or something. You know, and it's just that doesn't help, because you're comparing someone who is not them. So sometimes you've got to go in with a fresh mind, a fresh, open mind, and then you can listen. But anyway, I know I've gone freaking ages here, but I suppose it doesn't matter because it's the last one. It's literally the last one until I personally think the end of the year. When I release this book, there's a good chance. I just don't know. When I release the book, it might not even get announced, because I don't like all that self-promoting shit. I don't like it. I might do one where I say I've got it, but you won't see me really go mental because I'm not into all that. I don't like it. I like to just create. So it might be that I just create it and it just ends up on Amazon and stuff, you know. It's just literally alongside the others, and someone might look one day and, where's this one come from? It's done. It was finally done. So it could be why I don't get so many sales. I don't really know, but yeah, I don't like that side of things. But let's say it comes out end of November, because Christmas is coming up soon after that. There's a chance then I wouldn't bother doing the videos because I'll probably be burnt out from doing the book. Depends how hard I go with the book, really, and things, and how strenuous it'll be. I think personally, I'm over thinking the challenge. I think personally, okay, this isn't me trying to boast. It's just, you know, when you know what you're doing and you get in a flow, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You know, even if you're just doing woodwork and things, you know, you start off, maybe it's a whole process. You think you got to measure the wood, you got to line it all up. Now you got to cut it. Then you got to store it. You're probably thinking about the whole process of everything that has to happen. You go, God damn, it's gonna be a horrible day. Then you just break it down. You just do the stages. You know, you just start measuring it, and then you just get on with that stage. Now you're cutting it. You know, it's not that big. Once you're flowing, it's flowing. It's like becomes automated, doesn't it? That's what I'm saying. So once I'm in the flow and I've organized what I'm doing and I've then decided how I'm going to go about doing it, it will feel almost automated. Just work at it. Just work, work, work. And sculpt, sculpt, sculpt. And keep fine tuning, keep taking. Oh, but one thing before I do finish there, if you ever do write a book yourself, is you have to be the worst critic, but be fair with yourself. So it's like a balance. So for instance, like when I'm working on something, if something doesn't fit, I'd either just delete paragraphs because it has like I'm not just like self-sabotaging here. Don't just go ruining everything just because you're having a bad moment. Because you don't want to lose work that you've done if it's got a chance to be good. So you can either improve it or move it. So you can remove it from the manuscript, but maybe put it to the side somewhere. So depending on the app you use, but you could just move it away from the main manuscript, and maybe it's something you can look at later if you feel there was an idea there. But overall, though, let's say you've got 20 chapters to a book and it's 19. You're going, these are freaking great. I love these, but this one's driving me nuts. This one's absolutely crazy. You then what I would suggest if you really can't fix it, like if it just seems like it doesn't make sense. It's the pacing's different. The way it just completely destroys the narrative. I would argue, is that really needed? Because that one chapter that can destroy the pacing and everything, if you took that out and had 19 chapters instead of 20, you'd probably be like, okay, that wasn't there. But people don't know that wasn't there. People don't know you was going to do it. And then you can read the book and go, now is it great without it? And you might go, bloody hell, I love this now. So it was the right thing to remove it. So don't be scared I've removed chapters before. There's some I've like working my ass off on and I just look and go, this is just annoying the shit out of me. It's just like it's doing my head in. It's not the same as the others, the way it's going. And it's like, just take it out. And I'm like, oh, now this is better. So yeah, it's again, you as a storyteller, it's up to you to tell a story. So again, it's be honest with ourselves. But again, don't be self-sabotage either, though. So there's like it's double-edged. If you're really not confident in yourself, you could go too far, destroying everything, And I think, like I said, there's that perfectionist thing. And like what you perceive to be perfect might be a standard that's either unattainable or unnecessary. Someone else might read something and go, well, that was great as it was. What are you talking about? It's because you're nitpicking. Sometimes you can just nitpick that much. And sometimes you just got to let it go and just say, that's good. That's good. Otherwise, because there's always something you can keep changing. You could spend forever just keep moving something around. Oh, I don't like that word, or rather that. Just get on with it. It's like, it doesn't matter. For anything, there's a whole like mirage of freaking words you could use, So don't overthink it, I would say. Yeah, and the other little bit of advice I would give before I go, when you read your word back, look for unnecessary letters of words, really. So, wait a minute, I can't think of anything. My head's gone blank, and I wasn't thinking of anything. Oh, I don't know. Just say something, and then they went somewhere. Something, and then they went somewhere. It's a silly example. I'm just trying to show it out there. But instead of saying then they went somewhere, you can just put they went somewhere. Something happened, they went somewhere. I'm not saying in that instance that's the perfect way to do it. You'd have to read it yourself. But sometimes it's just a word where it connects an incident or something, and you're thinking to yourself, remove that, it's sharper. And you'll find there's little bits that happen all the time. You might have the word and, it might be then, and it might be have, all sorts of things. You go, wait a minute, if I remove that, this is far more punctual. It has more punch to the work. So that's just that's the editing phase. So that's to say. So anyway, yeah. So again, it's easier for me if I write fresh because I edit as I go. I'm not someone who does edits at the end usually, like everybody else, like a lot of authors do. I prefer to because I don't like a mess. So if I usually get to the end of the manuscript, it's usually really, really good. Like the quality is usually really good. It just needs fine tuning. So I'll find typos, maybe spacing errors, all sorts of little things because I was excited typing faster. And maybe I was excited to get onto the next chapter as I was editing, little things. But it's not usually big things. But this time around, I've got big things to sort out. And that's why it's heavy and I don't like it. But if I was writing from scratch in a way that I want to write, I wouldn't have that problem because I would have edited the same way I just did that chapter earlier. And I walked away going, I love that chapter. So then you go on to the next chapter knowing that one's fine. That one's good. And then all of them are like that. So when I get to the end of the book, I'm like, I'm really excited because I know it's good. And then you read it back and maybe you find a few errors, but not too much, ready to release. Not the case with these three. Not the case at all. Anyway, hopefully it's been sort of like informative. It's been far longer than I planned to do. I was only going to do like 5 minutes just to say like I probably won't be here for the rest of the year because I've got shit to do. But here I am. Yeah. Anyway, I wish people well on their journeys.